game. I don't know that that's ever really going to change. The offensive line had been in flux, but they were certainly trending in the right direction after manhandling Miami, and it looked like the confidence level was there, the health was there. But I think the Jimmy Smith thing is every time he's left, and I don't know that anybody really believed in the offseason like he was the most important cog. Every time he goes out of a game, bad things happen.
Yeah, no question. I mean, and, they do have some good players. I mean, Sharice Wright came in and made some plays. I think, the Powers injury compounded things, and they had to move Webb to nickel back, and then Elam came into the game. I mean, but they were having struggles, the whole game. I mean, I just think that, the Patriots, with the way Brady's operating right now with their offensive line, I mean, look, how much did you even notice Sizzle or Doomerville in that game? And those are guys that have to produce for the Ravens to be as good as possible on defense. And, Nate Solder at left tackle, Marcus Cannon at right tackle. They did a really nice job, and I thought the Patriots offensive line controlled the game against the Ravens, and there's not many times that you can say that.
Kind of amazing in the end that Flacco was driving toward our end zone and you were sitting 40 feet from me with a chance to win the game. I mean, it should be alarming for the Patriots, quite frankly. That's not Belichick to be spitting up punts and kickoffs and putting the ball on the carpet. Certainly a Baltimore kid involved in those transgressions. I was kind of taken aback that the Patriots I don't know that they're not a paper lion at this point either going into the playoffs. They certainly don't look like the Patriots of old. The old Patriots would have never allowed that to happen on Monday night.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, they have some outlying issues on special teams that they're working through. They've been trying to stick with the rookie Cyrus Jones at punt return. He had the fumble, and then he had another one where he almost kicked the ball again. Before that, and then, look, the Matthew Slater fumbling on a kickoff return, that usually does not happen. I mean, look, they gave the Ravens 14 points. They had to drive 25 yards for 2 touchdowns. I mean, that was a big thing in that game. I mean, but for me, the biggest takeaway from that game was, I thought, look, the Patriots are good, and Brady makes them better than they are, but it's a very average defense that they have, and that, the Ravens, I don't know why they went away from the run so much. I know they don't run the ball well, but, the Patriots can be run on, and I think that
they weren't losing 23-3.
Well, I mean, even the Patriots punted on their first 3 possessions, and they had 4 rushes in the first half. I mean, that's just not enough. I mean, the Ravens, I think that their avenue for offense is they need to get back to what, Kubiak did. Yes, he would open things up at times, but really, this needs to be a run-first team. They need play action, and then, the other thing was they were out-coached because, the Patriots came in, they've been mostly a man team. They played almost all zone in that game, and it looked, Marty Mornhinweg never adjusted to that. And, they didn't attack. The biggest thing for me was how they did not attack the Patriots down the field. They should have been running the ball and attacking the Patriots down the field, and yet they were running like a 1997 49ers offense where everything was around 5 yards. The Patriots were ready for that, and they never ran. How do you have Mike Wallace and Perriman and you don't run them on verticals to put a safety in a bind? I don't know how that happens. And, I think that there are a lot of issues with the offensive coordinator. Look, I think Harbaugh is going to have to make another change in the offseason, which would make 6 in 7 years.
It's getting to be a little out of hand, right? And when you fire the offensive coordinator a month into the season and the Miami game aside, not much has changed. And I do think the offensive line's been a big issue this year, having watched them the first 8 weeks and where they are now. And Yanda playing with one shoulder on the other side of the line has helped them. But the whole thing needs to be taken a look at. And I don't think there'll be any Steve Smith next year. And certainly the running back situation, I think they believe in Kenneth Dixon and his injury during the preseason didn't help things. But the offensive line needs to be solidified, and that's what drafting Ronnie Stanley was about. That's what playing Alex Lewis early in the year was about, was trying to say, let's put something together that we're going to have around here for a couple of years. I don't know that we're 14 weeks into this, and I don't know what the offseason is going to look like here, Greg.
I mean, but you really look at it, Yanda's battling through things. He's still, 75% Marshall Yanda is better than almost every other guard in the league. outside of maybe the Cowboys. But, for the most part, they have their line intact. Zuda went out a little bit with a concussion in that game, but I don't know how the Ravens, with their personnel department, think that Vlad Ducasse is any sort of guard to play in this league. I mean, he's terrible, and I don't know what he's doing out there, and he should have not been on the roster. Do you tell me you just think it's ridiculous? And I do think that's where it starts, but the Ravens, even with Ducasse out there are ways to run the ball. They need to run the ball. I think that their running backs are good. I think Dixon has a good future. I think that West is okay, but they can't go out there and drop back to pass and play, dump off to the running back and the tight end the whole game and expect to beat the Patriots. I mean, they got to be aggressive and go down the field, and I just don't, I don't know if Morningwake's capable of that.
You're not enamored with Joe Flacco lately, right?
No, I mean, I think Joe's fine. I just think that, you see this a lot with quarterbacks in their first year back from a serious injury. You saw this with Brady when he came back in 2009.
Carson Palmer, all those guys, sure.
Yeah, they're a little gun shy, which is understandable, and it filters down to their mechanics. And he's throwing everything off his back foot, and sometimes it's okay, a lot of times it's high, it's inaccurate. He missed a lot of passes the other night. I mean, he for this Ravens team to grab a playoff spot, he's going to need to be better. But I don't know if they could solve his mechanics in such a short period of time. I think it's going to be an off-season type thing.
One of our great guests here from Sports Illustrated and SI.com. He is Greg Bedard. You can follow his journey at Greg A. Bedard. You haven't given the Ravens an A here in quite some time, and certainly against bad competition. You would think that they'll take care of the Eagles this week. Greg, I mean, when I saw you before the game, we're having that clam chowder, and the place is filling in. I'm thinking, well, they'll give the Patriots a run tonight, and I think they can beat the Steelers and the Bengals on the road. I start to think that the road is trouble for them. And when I look at the Steelers and the Bengals in back-to-back weeks, if you give me a chip to bet it on them or against them, and I don't do this often, and I might pick them to win next week. I might pick them to win at Cincinnati. But as I sit here right now, winning 2 weeks in a row in the division, on the road, in the cold, against the Steelers in Cincinnati, this looks like a real tall order at this point to me.
It does. I would agree with you, and I don't think this weekend's any gimme for them either. I mean, I think that the Ravens defense will do some things. I mean, the Eagles have run into a lot of problems when they've just given up on the run and just have dropped Wentz. I think 5 times in the past 7 games, they've dropped him back to pass 40 times or more, and they're 0-5 in those games. I mean, I know the Ravens are tough to run against, but the Eagles have a decent offensive line, and they got to find a way to run the ball. And if they could do that and take care of the ball, I think the Ravens offense is going to continue to struggle. I think Miami was the big outlier in this whole season, and I think a lot of people, including myself, read a little bit too much into that. I think that's the outlier. I think they're more of a team that's lucky if they score in the 20s, and maybe that's a formula against the Eagles, but I don't think it's going to be easy, and I think it's going to be tough against the Steelers. And the Bengals have been playing well of late, and so luckily for them, they're going to get the Steelers after playing the Bengals, so that's usually a physical game. So hopefully that gives the Ravens a little bit of an edge.
Greg, I've talked so much this year about actually liking the guys on the team. We've had a bunch of guys out this year. I mean, with my wife's illness, I haven't done as many live shows the last couple of years. I'm more embedded with the team this year and around the team a lot more. Boy, Eric Weddle's a special guy, and I know you spent some time with him after the game, and certainly not his finest hour. I mean, a couple weeks ago, he was beating himself up for dropping a pick in a game, and then the other night, as much as the media went after Harbaugh in the initial press conference on Matt Elam, who was quite an easy target, I might add.
Yes.
At this point, Weddle took the credit or the blame for giving up the big play. I was shocked that they got back in the game, and I would really be shocked that Eric Weddle would be the guy across the top that would be wandering with the game on the line and allowing the likes of that kind of a receiver to get behind. It's one thing for Des Bryant. It's one thing for if it's A.J. Green. It's we've seen that story. I mean, certainly Odell Beckham, I'll live with that. Monday leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth around here, and I know it left a bad taste in Eric Weddle's mouth, and I know you spent some time with him and wrote about it at SI earlier.
Yeah, he, Eric's one of the best in the business, and he's a true pro, and, I wanted to get his insight on sort of what the how is it to defend the Patriots now after Rob Gronkowski? And he gave some great answers. But, on that play, he definitely took the blame. I mean, I can see, he studies more than anybody in the league. He knows the Patriots offense like the back of his hand. And, when he saw the Patriots in the set that they were in and he saw Hogan going up the middle, I can't even tell you the last time Brady threw that pass. I mean, you do not see Chris Hogan catch a ball between the numbers or between the hash marks. And so, normally he's going to look to Edelman. Weddle tried to guess a little bit and do what he does, and sometimes, 99% of the time it pays off. This was one of those times where it didn't. It happened to be in a big spot, but, I can understand his mindset. That's usually Hogan is an outside the numbers type of guy. He didn't think that Brady would be looking there, and Brady doesn't usually throw those balls that well.
Well, he might not have been looking there unless he was wide open, right? I mean, literally, the reason Brady looked there, Brady probably was shocked that he was open like that, right?
Yeah, but, I mean, compare and contrast. This is just where the Patriots and the Ravens are. Earlier in the game, Flacco had, I think it was Wallace, might have been Perriman, I'm not sure, on the exact same play. And what happened? Joe threw off his back foot. It was late. The receiver had to wait. McCourty got a hand in. That should have been a touchdown. It should have been the same exact play. But that's where the Ravens and the Patriots are at this point in time in terms of execution at the quarterback position and the passing game overall.
All right, let's get around the league. We're chatting with Greg Bedard. You can follow his journey at Sports Illustrated and SI.com. No one does it better in the biz. He's Greg A. Bedard out on Twitter as well. Put your crystal ball together here. I mean, you and I are going to be together out of Radio Row in Houston for a couple days. They're hanging out in downtown looking for some Tex-Mex and some cold, affordable beverages. Who's going to be there?
I think the odds are right now that it's going to be the Cowboys and the Patriots. I mean, I thought that the Seahawks had a good chance of being the team in the NFC, and they still might, but I just think the injury just is too big for them to overcome. I mean, Earl just did so much going from sideline to sideline, just cleaning up people's messes in addition to making his own plays. And the kid Terrell, he just can't come close to that. Nobody can. And so I think that really weakens their defense. And I think at the end of the day, I think that's the difference between them and the Cowboys. The Patriots, as long as they're home, and they should be, I don't really see a team in the AFC that can come in and beat them at Gillette with the way that Brady's playing this season. And I said that, of course, I said that last year. I thought that the Patriots could go into Denver, but they're a much different team. They can run the ball more. The offensive line is playing well. It's a big difference. I mean, can Kansas City come in here and beat the Patriots? I mean, I think Kansas City and Pittsburgh have a shot, but at the end of the day, I don't like those coaching matchups. I just think that Belichick is better than Reed and Tomlin, and that would make the difference in those games.
For me, this is the time of the year where the vultures come in to pick from the carnage, right? Whether it's the Rams and Fisher and Eric Dickerson this week, or what's going to happen with the Jets situation, San Francisco, Cleveland's still a mess. This is also that time of the year where the bell tolls for lots of coaches. The mess is particularly stenchy in LA, where the ramifications of even a good season with the Raiders. We're talking about the Las Vegas situation and the Chargers going up the road. It's messy for the bad teams. It's an ugly, ugly holiday in a lot of places right now, right?
Yeah, and I think that I think the big thing that separates the top and the bottom in the NFL is coaching and stability. And you look at a lot of these teams, like whether it's the Browns or the Rams, and they just can't get out of their own way, and they need to find the next really good coach, and they need to show patience and stick with them, or else they're just going to stay in the same cycle over and over again.
You're doing a little something on the Carolina Panthers, correct? And Cam Newton. I'm a Cam hater. I'm the guy that all week long said last year in San Francisco. I think I may have said it to you. If they lose, watch how quickly he becomes not that great leader and shaking hands and giving out footballs and visiting sick kids in hospitals and all of that shine and all these goofy outfits he wears. I think he's a chump, and I don't think he's ever going to win. And I think I learn a lot more about guys when they lose than when they win. Everything was perfect last year, not so much this year. That's a mess down there, and I don't believe in him. I'll be the first one to say that. I think he's talented, and I think when things are going great, he's a hell of a winner. I think this year's really exposed him in a lot of ways as being what he is, which is an immature chump, in my opinion.
Well, I don't know if I would go that far. I will agree with you that I think this season has exposed him a little bit. I mean, I went in to dive into the film, and I wanted to go in there, and I wanted to bury Cam Newton. But after watching their past 3 games, I couldn't do it. I mean, it's not that, you're right. I mean, last season went perfect for them. This year they've had, personnel issues on defense, on the offensive line, and things haven't been perfect. And this is the type of year where if you're a franchise quarterback, you need to if you're an elite franchise quarterback, you need to raise the level of everybody, or at least tread water while things get on the right page. And Cam failed at that this year. I don't think it's, though, from a lack of preparation or anything like that. I think after the season, his career is sort of at a crossroads. He's going to be 28 next year. He's not that far away. I mean, it's a handful of plays every game that he's not making, and a lot of it is the same problems that Flacco is having right now. It's mechanical. I mean, he takes too long to get away from center, which leads to more problems, him not diagnosing coverage, throwing late, not stepping into passes, throwing high. But those are things, if he wants to be the player that he wants to be, that entertainer and icon or whatever he wants to be, then he needs to dedicate himself in this offseason to increasing his foot speed and working on his mechanics, because, he can't get away with what he did when he was 25. He's 28 now, and he needs to be more on point, and this team needs him to be that way. He's not that far away, so I'm not ready to bury him yet.
Yeah, I'm not a hater of players for the most part. He's one of those guys, like a WWE character, that I've just chosen to say I'm not going to root for him, and I don't do that. I have friends all over the league. I mean, I can find some validity to the Steelers and the Bengals and even rivals. I don't like that act. For me, it's a tired act. I will say that he didn't have a lot around him last year. I mean, he went to the Super Bowl, almost won with Michael Orr, but I think there is something. And Buck Showalter, I know you're a baseball guy too. Buck's always going to have to live with that Zach Britton sitting in the bullpen until he ever wins here. And I think with Cam Newton, he will always live with the fact that the ball was sitting there and he looked at it as though it was kryptonite in the middle of the Super Bowl with the game on the line. And that was there for all the world to see. That there was not a lot of instinct in that play. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult play. I mean, he's a tall guy. The ball was close to him. It's, you could make the argument either way. I mean, I just think in that game, I thought their weaknesses got exposed. I mean, one of the things this year that they've really struggled with is Kelvin Benjamin just is not good enough. I mean, he's a 6'4", 230-pound receiver, and he plays like he's 5'11", 180, and it does not take physical contact well. They need him to be a number one stud receiver in that offense. I mean, when you're a shot play offense like they are, they need to go deep, and it just can't be Ted Ginn down the field. I mean, that's a problem. And so, I think that the offensive line needs to be rebuilt. Gettleman, gambled wrong with sticking with Orr and Remmers on the outside, and that's just blown up in their face. But, Cam needs to be better as well, and I think we'll have to see whether he wants to be good or not, or wants to be great. And I think that's the big question with him.
Next week, Ravens and Steelers. Where are you on the Steelers at this point? And, the Ravens had their number. If the Ravens take care of business, beat the Eagles by 7 points, 10 points, and don't look awful doing it on Sunday, we're going to spend all of Christmas week talking about this, incredible matchup. Dinner hour on Christmas Day up in Pittsburgh, Ravens-Steelers, this great rivalry game. I've thought all along, and certainly the Ravens handle the Steelers in Baltimore. Man, the Ravens have looked like a different team on the road, but, it's much like New England and the thoughts going in. There'll be no puddle between their legs going up to Pittsburgh on Christmas. They've really kind of gotten in the Steelers' heads a little bit, I think, the last couple of years.
Yeah, they've definitely played good defense against them. I mean, I think that, I thought that the Ravens got a little bit lucky in that game. I mean, considering, a 95-yard pass to Mike Wallace. I mean, how often does that happen? I mean, it was, a bit of a busted coverage. He breaks a tackle, he goes 95 yards, and then they get a blocked punt for a touchdown. So, there's 14 easy points right there. I mean, I think that.
And Roethlisberger wouldn't have been on the field if they were playing the Browns either, right? I mean, he wasn't right?
Right, and I think that the Steelers now are they're getting in their groove. The Ravens have not. I think that the Steelers are playing a little bit better on defense. I still think it's probably be a low-scoring game between the two teams. But, when you get in those divisional games, those two teams know each other so well that, you throw records and everything else and all the stats out the window. And I think it's going to be who wants it more. And oftentimes it's been the Ravens. But, look, the Steelers are going to have their backs up against the wall. Both teams will. But, I mean, the Steelers are really the team that's ready to do something this year, and they need to win that game.
Hey, man, it's always great seeing you over a bowl of clam chowder. I caught you watching a hockey game between at halftime. And, I mean, there's always something going on in Boston, right? I mean, there's an energy up there, and I've talked about this all week. I've been going to games 21 years now with the Ravens, home, away. I mean, the Baltimore thing was special for a long time for the noise, the energy level. It has not been that way in our building this year. People are selling tickets on my Facebook page every week. There's always empty seats. I was kind of shocked in New England the other night to walk into that stadium, because I got there really early like you did. I was there. It was still light out when I got up into the press box, and I was working on a London trip and all that stuff. And I looked up as the national anthem was playing, and there wasn't any space. There was no room to breathe. The standing room was taken. Every seat in the upper deck on a cold night taken. It was a hellhole up there on Monday night. It doesn't wane. And I would think even where the Red Sox have been with the Panda and all that 2 years ago in bad times in last place and first place, there's still a lot of energy going on up there for sports. I mean, they have not gotten tired of these 9 championships this century, have they?
No, sometimes the crowd kind of wavers, but, they always get up for the Ravens. They know the Ravens aren't afraid of the Patriots. They like to come in. They've played well there. They've knocked them off, almost knocked them off a couple more times in the playoffs. And the other thing that was working against the Ravens as far as the crowd in that game is that the Patriots have had a really crappy home schedule this year. I mean, the biggest game before that was, the Seahawks, and really they didn't have another big game before that. I mean, they played like the Texans and the Bengals. Nobody really cares about the Bengals here, but, the Ravens, that was their last big home game of the season, and, people get up for that, and they knew it was on the line, and they have respect for the Ravens, so they got geared up for it.
It is funny, with the Jets and the Bills and the Dolphins coming up there and just getting their asses kicked for 20 years, there really is no rivalry in their division, right? I mean,
no.
They don't play meaningful games there that often, right?
No, it's basically they view the Ravens pretty much as a rival because, they play so often. So, that really gets the juices flowing inside Gillette Stadium, not only with the crowd, but also the team and their preparation for the week.
It really was filthy there Monday, I must admit. I mean, it had energy unlike anything I've experienced this year. But, I've been to some sleepy places like Dallas where they just win every week. Greg, great having you on, man. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful holiday. And, I hope we have the problem of running into each other in playoff games a couple weeks from now. But either way, we'll always have Houston.
Sounds good to me, buddy. Thanks for having me.
See you soon. Greg Bedard, nobody does it better at SI.com, covering the National Football League. He is Greg A. Bedard out on Twitter as well, and a great, great follow. So tens of thousands follow him. You should too. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear. Big reminder, on Tuesday night, we got Mike Wallace will be joining us swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry. We're going to be up at Adams Jeep in Aberdeen beginning at 7:30 on Tuesday night. Come on out, give a spit, get involved, get on the Bone Marrow Registry, support our friends at There Goes My Hero, and come meet Mike Wallace and say hello. It'll be my first long-form opportunity to sit and chat with him too, and I am looking forward to that. I'm Nestor. This is WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.